so. I wish to point out that government has made some improvements to the way you will receive the State of the Nation address. Notably, copies of the SONA, the speech that I'm about to deliver, will be shared. There's also a more graphically engaging and detailed version that will be shared digitally to enable richer discourse among society. This is our way of enhancing availability of information and our increased accountability to the nation. The second session of the 13th Parliament commences today. We gather here as triumphant champions, makers of history, led by heroes and heroines who carried us to heights never seen before. We are a generation of many firsts. The first government led by the Umbrella for Democratic Change, UDC. The first African country to win in the 4x400 meters relay at the World Athletics Championships. We have Botswana's first men's 400 meters world champion. We have our first Olympic gold medalist. Today, we celebrate what it truly means to be a Motswana. I stand before you at a pivotal moment, which marks another first in this country's history. For the first year of the UDC leadership has come to an end. The gloss and charm of novelty is now behind us. This was an interesting year where the shadow of economic challenges tested our resolve, not just the government's resolve, but that of the people of this country. With our hope tested by economic pressures, our resolve crystallized and became stronger. We know where we came from. We know why we needed change. And we know where we are going. Though we intend to arrive faster at our destination, we can only walk this journey one step at a time, this journey of 1,000 miles. In our words and our work, we honor the power of intention to build, to heal, to challenge, to uplift deliberately, purposefully, and together. Hence my selected theme for this year's State of the Nation address, the steady path, delivering on our promise one step at a time. This is a philosophy of governance that recognizes the depth of our challenges while affirming our unwavering commitment to overcoming them. It encapsulates a profound thinking captured by the English playwright John Haywood, that Rome was not built in a day, but they were laying bricks every hour. Hour by hour, we lay brick by interlocking brick. To the untrained eye, it looks like an untidy landscape of bricks strewn all over the place. But with time and patience, it will begin to take shape. You will soon see the skeleton of the Colosseum, the concept of the Roman Forum, the inklings of the Pantheon, and a hint of the Trevi Fountain. Slowly, meticulously, Rome is taking shape. Today I lay before you the methodology behind the vision. I give you insight into the master plan. I detail the bricks already in place and the ones we are yet to lay. Our economy, long sustained by wealth generated from mining, especially of diamonds, now faces the sobering reality of global market shifts. Our fiscus is under tremendous strain, bearing the weight of unprecedented global macroeconomic challenges. The goose that lays the golden egg is in critical condition. The UDC government entered office with strained fiscus, depleted coffers, employees owed, contractors owed, farmers owed, a debt of hope to the people, and resentment by its rivals. The resentful pray and hope for the UDC to fail, and as such pray for the country to fail. But we will not fail. This country will not fail. The doomsayers wrote us off in the lead-up to the 2024 elections. The prolific punditry of doubters and naysayers assailed us all. Analysts and prophets of all colors and hues foretold our spectacular failure at the polls. We were dismissed with such casual certainty and contempt. We stood no chance. The entire press corps of this country was aroused, mobilized and weaponized against the UDC. They predicted, they analyzed, rendered opinions dressed up as fact. They spoke with such authority and confidence. Acres of newspaper space and extended amounts of airplay were devoted to spreading chronically prejudiced views of our adversaries and detractors. On the 30th of October 2024, the people spoke. On that day, all the predictions and prophecies of our detractors evaporated. It became a day of dissolving certainties. On that day, we experienced the most beautiful symphony of comeuppance ever served. History had been made, and the clock of time continues to chime. I stand here today bearing the weight of history. I remind us all of 2024, of our struggles and our strivings, as a way of saluting and humbly acknowledging the supreme sacrifices made by our activists and our people. I stand in absolute awe of the resilience and fortitude of the people of this country. I remind those who cursed and dismissed us that their negative fetishes and fantasies did not happen then. They will not happen now, and they will not happen ever. I say this not to mock. I say it because it is the truth served raw. I want us all to know and always remember that the UDC is an indelible portrait of courage and defiance in the face of denial, denigration, and belittlement. Our central and guiding concern is and always has been to transform the lives and livelihoods of the people of this country. From our conjunctural analysis, we knew we had to address this concern. To achieve this objective under conditions of uncertainty, with diminished resources and facing a vicious pushback, even from those yet to recover from the trauma of their failed predictions and prophecies. Undeterred, we made bold promises and solemn undertakings to our people. We promised to cut electricity and water tariffs by 30% and make them affordable to every household. We have delivered the 30% reduction in water tariffs and extended a 50% amnesty on outstanding bills for all households. This means that the UDC government forewent monies owed to the government by the people of Botswana so that the people have less financial burden, meaning the government took some of the people's burdens on its shoulders despite having an ailing fiscus. We promised to increase old age pension from the then 830 pula to 1,800 pula per month. We delivered in the first year, and despite these economic hardships, a 68% increase from 830 pula to 1,400. This means that the UDC government, in the face of an ailing fiscus, increased its social spending on a vulnerable and marginalized group of elderly individuals to make their burdens that much lighter. We promised to increase the living allowance for tertiary students to 2,500 pula. We have, during this economic hardship, delivered in the first year for the hardest hit segment of the student community a very significant increase on the technical vocational education and training TVET allowance from 300 pula to 1,900 pula. What do those who resent change publish? They say the UDC government has outspent previous government's annual expenditure. They omit to tell you that the increase is caused by giving money directly to the people of this country that need it most, with a 68% increase to old age pensions and a 533% increase to TVET allowances. Mind you, we intend to spend more on our people who have more needs that necessitate the spending. The flashy headlines neglect to mention the people actually benefiting from the increased expenditure. When we give 300 pula allowance to nursing mothers, as we surely will, our expenditure will increase. When we attain the old age pension of 1,800 pula, expenditure will increase. When, not if, when we pay students their 2,500 pula allowance, expenditure will increase. When we begin hiring for our 24-hour public service economy, expenditure will increase. We have no qualms of conscience, absolutely, about increasing expenditure for the improved welfare of our people. We promised to deliver a proper constitutional review. In the first year, we've delivered visible progress. The government has gazetted the Constitutional Amendment Bill, which seeks to establish a constitutional court. The bill is ready for debate in the current session of Parliament. This will pave way for a nationwide referendum on the review of the Constitution. Consultations are expected to commence in 2026. We follow the model set by South Africa, whereby the establishment of a constitutional court preceded the constitutional review, so that thereafter there's a forum specially designated to test the rigors and contours of the new constitution before ratifying it into law. We reaffirm our abiding fidelity to the promise of a comprehensive constitutional review. We promise to deliver a sovereign wealth fund that will accelerate Botswana's strategic investments across the globe, ensuring wealth not just for future generations, but even for current generations. We have delivered on this promise, and the Sovereign Wealth Fund has commenced work. We promised to pay a living wage of 4,000 pula. Not only has the private sector continued to overwhelmingly embrace this development, we too, as government, have reached a historic milestone wherein an agreement was reached between government and 7 public sector unions to pay this living wage effective July 2025. When we were faced with a situation of critical shortage of medicine, your government, and through the efforts of friendly nations and international partners, came to swift action. We managed to purchase and obtain donations of medicines worth over 500 million pula, and still counting. Under pressure of an acute shortage, we could not fully exact the levels of saving we otherwise would have if we were procuring under more hospitable circumstances. The systemic challenges of the current value chain of providing medicines have been entrenched for decades, and we are dealing with them boldly to uproot their inefficiencies as quickly as possible. These accomplishments are just the beginning, and we can and we will continue to do more as we move into the next year. However, in the face of real economic challenges, the challenges that our country faces, these accomplishments must not be downplayed. Let us continue to be a nation that possesses the grace of gratitude for what we have achieved under these circumstances, without losing hope for better achievements. We've also made good strides in non-financial objectives that we set in the last State of the Nation address. We've begun rebuilding the nation's trust in its institutions. We've made key appointments to a number of ministries and statutory entities. We have made meritocratic appointments to the judiciary. We've made appointments to the Directorate of Public Prosecutions. We've welcomed a new commander of the Botswana Defence Force. We've made appointments at the Attorney General's chambers. We've made board appointments to parastatals that have begun turning their entities around. We've employed public servants in various positions throughout different ministries whose impact is felt daily. We will continue to make the right appointments. This government does not discriminate. We promised to deliver dignity to all persons in this country, and we began by burying a man in his ancestral home as one of this government's first acts in leadership. We have upheld freedom of speech and expression and given Batswana their voice back. And we saw, flowing from that, enraged, sometimes frustrated members of the population take to the streets in exercise of their freedom